go at least through the CAPE committee and most of the time through the full board. As our policy stands, that does not happen. If we're bringing a textbook in, then that will come to the CAPE committee and we will review it and then present that to the board for a board vote. And so I think you're going to find that most schools, all literature that comes into the classroom does go before some form of the Board of Education. Also, over the last 5 years, we've had 10 books come into the school system, and not one of them came before, to my knowledge, has come before the Board of Education. So this board, as it sits, really, for the most part, has no idea what books came in over the last 5 years. And I think that's part of the issue, is that I think we need to be more aware, and I think that once the policy committee looks at the policy and possibly considers some changes, that we can make it a much stronger policy, and I think that will help solve a lot of the problems. I also just wanted to mention that I still, other than Brookfield graduates, I'm still waiting for someone to tell me that they read the book in high school at a lower than AP college level class. Even Jacqueline Smith, who wrote the lovely article in the Danbury News-Times on Sunday, said she read it at Western Connecticut State. So again, my argument is not the quality of the book. It's the age level it's being taught at, and you can argue for or against that, but I just want to be able to discuss the facts. And I think that it's time that this board just concentrates on the facts and stops trying to bring politics into this and bring other issues into this. Leave your personal life somewhere other than at this board table. And let's just talk about the facts. I talked with someone earlier today who is in support of the program as it is. And it was a good conversation because we just simply talked about the facts. I don't think that the Danbury News-Times is going to allow that in their articles, though, because they just refuse to let this be an issues situation, and they try to put their spin on it. Exactly how in Sunday's article, or excuse me, Saturday's article, I think there were 5 names mentioned in the article, but there were only 3 whose party affiliates were mentioned. That was mine and 2 candidates who happened to speak. Jane Miller's was not mentioned. Mr. Pavonis wasn't mentioned. Ray's wasn't mentioned. And neither were 2 from out of the district. I'm only bringing that up because I just feel that a newspaper's duty is, unless it's an editorial, is to just present the facts and present the issue and give the people in the area an idea of what's going on without trying to put their agenda on. And I think it's clear that that is what's happening. So I would just hope that as we go forward, we could deal with the issues, whether any changes are made or not, deal with the issues as adults, and leave our personal issues away from the table.
You know, I listened to a lot of the speakers, and I heard some very positive comments made on both sides of the argument for the kindergarten programs full and to remain with the extended day. And those thoughts will be carried forward into our discussions. Going to the book issue, I was very impressed with a great deal of the speakers, and I tried to pay particular attention to their descriptions of what their experiences were. And everyone seemed to be asking for the right to read the book if they so choose. And I don't recall anyone ever saying ban the book, other than the News-Times and Rajette. Nobody's talking about book banning that I know of. We're talking about choice. If it's on the bookshelf, read it. If it's not in this library, if it's not in the Brookfield Public Library, you can find it at Barnes & Noble, you can find it at Borders, you can find it at Amazon.com. I mean, nobody's trying to take away anybody's rights. But we are supportive and sensitive to the concerns of parents. And I honestly don't believe that graphic adult content belongs in the classroom. So if you're fine with your child reading that, by all means, go ahead, buy the book, get it from a library, get it from this library, get it from a public library, read the book, enjoy it, discuss it with your family. But let's give parents choice too.
I have a few comments as well. I would also like to thank all the speakers this evening who spoke on both issues. I do want to clarify some facts. First of all, it's been mentioned a number of times the age of the students in the class. We have no 14-year-olds in English 11 Honors. Okay, so that should be abundantly clear. The youngest student in English 11 Honors is 15 years old and 10 months, two months away from 16. The average age of students in English 11 Honors is 16 years, 3 months, over 16. The oldest student is 17 years, 2 months. They're 16 plus, on their way to 17. Some of them already 17. So the 14-year-old thing needs to stop being mentioned in terms of English 11 Honors. We have no 14-year-olds. There is an opt-out policy. That does give parents choice. If you do not want your child to read this book, they do not have to read the book. They will be provided an education that nobody has been able to present to us or to me that is inferior to those of the students who are deciding to stay in the book. 11 students have opted out of the book this year. That's out of 75. That's about a little less than 15%. That means 85% have decided to read this book or have been okay with reading the book. By the way, the syllabus was given at the beginning of the year. Parents who came to open house were given the syllabus. The book was listed in the syllabus. And the syllabus was made available in the main office for any parent who may have missed open house for them to pick up. So parents were notified of the entire book list for this class. We have a policy. It's been followed. We've agreed to review it. We're going to review it. We're going to be looking at other school districts. I would contend that not all school districts have their books come before the board, but we'll find out. There's been no policy violation that anybody has pointed out to any of us as far as I know. And we have no policy that requires books to be come from the board at the moment. We don't. So those are facts about this situation. Last year, by the way, one student opted out of the book. One of the things that's part of our policies on this issue is that parents may have the freedom to choose to not have their students read the book. However, they may not choose to decide what other people's children will be able to read in school. So that is in our policies, which is being followed by having the opt-out clause. And that's all I'm going to say at this time.
Just two quick things, Ray. And I'm not saying that you, I just want to make it clear, I didn't say, and I'm not saying that you did, but I didn't say that all schools run it through the Board of Ed. I think you'll find that most do. And as far as the reading literature that's brought into school, if a book is going to be brought into a class, and that is going to be, I'm going to call it mandatory reading, even though we do have an opt-out policy. It's going to be part of the reading program. Everyone in that room is going to get that book. I don't really see any difference between that and a textbook as far as coming to the Board of Ed. If we're going to review the textbooks and then have them go through the Board of Ed, I think that the literature that's being read in the classes, as far as a book that's going to be given to every student in that class, should be deemed a textbook and should come before the Board of Ed. I think it's kind of scary to think that over the last possible 15 years we may have had 40 books come into the school system and probably don't have any idea of what any of them are. And I just think we should. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
You know, you said something in that really concerns me. It was the statistics about how many students opted out and didn't opt out, and that if 11 students opted out, that means that 75 students didn't. Well, that's like saying the Brookfield police handed out 8 speeding tickets. Therefore, everybody else that drives in Brookfield is driving at the speed limit. I mean, that doesn't make sense.
Well, it's not an apples-to-apples comparison.
Well, yeah, but you're drawing a conclusion where I don't think one...
There's no conclusion I've drawn. I'm stating a fact. 11 children have opted out of this book, and 64 have not. That is not a conjecture. That's a fact.
I see.
Anything else?